Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Kadrovani brought to you by the Student Alumni Committee of IIM Rattan. Today we have with us Mr. Ujjwal Bomala. He completed his MBA from our college in 2015 with marketing as his major. He is also an alumnus of National Institute of Technology, Warangal. He is currently working as the head of growth and performance marketing at Dangal Games. Prior to this, he worked at K12 Techno Service Private Limited. He was also the CMO and co-founder of Markmon Business Solutions and Memories Unlimited. He is also the founder and CEO of Adzebra. We are privileged to have you with us, sir, and looking forward to having an insightful session with you. Handing it over to Abhinav.
Hello, Ujjwal.
Hello.
My first question to you is, you began a profession in product management, then shifted towards marketing and entrepreneurship. Since we know marketing industry is very dynamic, were there any challenging aspects of transitioning roles? If yes, what were they?
So when I started my career as a product manager, there were multiple things that are involved in it. So me being a product manager, I should look into the marketing activities, looking into the sales, looking into the tech side of the product, adding new features, working on the mockups, coming up with some new age tech, adapting to some new age technologies, and also at the same time working with the content and the creative teams. It's more like a being one point of contact for your entire product activities or even your product growth as well. So post that, I worked for a good 1 year as a product manager, and just like every other MBA kid or a B school kid, there was this entrepreneurial bug that bit me hard, and I thought, okay, let's get into entrepreneurship. So getting into entrepreneurship was very easy. I mean, there were zero expectations. Nobody knows who Ujjwal is in the industry, and we had to start everything from the scratch. And transitioning into entrepreneurship, when I started Adzebra is more of a ad tech company. It's a place where advertisers and publishers meet and they do the ad transactions. So in building that platform, it took us good 6-7 months in understanding the market and bringing out the product. We started in a small 2 BHK flat, and that's how we started. And since then we started scaling up, and we went into we took a office space, and then in between we were in a co-working space. That's how the team went growing, and then we took our niche as the ad tech company, and then we slowly built the other portfolios. We got into event management and all that. So transition for me was easy because in the beginning, and once we start getting into the activities, that is where you start reinventing the wheel. So when you reinvent the wheel, the wheel will not be round, it will be in the square, and you start chopping off the edges in a way that over a period of time, it turns into a full circle and everything goes in that flow. So there were huge challenges. And coming to marketing, so if someone is switching transitioning into different segments of marketing, or switching from sales to marketing, so the person should ideally understand they're getting into a new genre or getting into the deeper things of with something that has been already evolved so much. It's not something that has just started a year back, or it's not like AI or some other fad which has started very recently, and somebody with some pretty much good courses can do it. So it's not like that. So it's more towards how you learn new things, and how quickly you can learn. More than learning new things, how quickly you can learn, and how do you implement things. That's actually the challenge. Instead of carrying your past baggage, how do you learn new things, and how do you set up the process end up there? That is how it makes all the difference.
Now, my second question to you is, what are some of the ways in which the marketing has evolved over time?
So marketing has evolved in all lengths and breadths. The marketing that you have seen 10 years back is not the marketing that you're seeing today. And by the time you come out of your college, it won't be the same again. So marketing has been evolving over years, and new technologies are coming in. It's not just marketing. Gone with those days where marketing used to be something like you put up a billboard or you send in some flyers and you call it marketing. So now everything is performance driven. Let's say you're setting up an ad on Facebook or maybe on Google Ads. So how do you attribute the users who are coming through these channels, and how well you can, how is your churn, and how much is your revenues that are coming through this, and how can you optimize each of your campaigns? And this is only one side of the coin where I talk about the digital marketing, and then comes the offline channels, which are growing really great again. So there are new technologies that are coming up. Like, for example, if you look into the advertising technology. So earlier, the industry started with a click-based tracking, where every user was given a click ID, and for every action, that click ID is matched, and in the back end, you track all these details and append and say that, okay, this particular user has clicked on your ad, he installed your app, signed up, registered, or subscribed to your product, and so on and so forth. And then came cookie-based tracking, and then pixel-based tracking. And now the industry is heading towards fingerprint or even more customized tracking, ways of tracking things as in how do you track your audience. It has evolved a lot, and there's a long way to go, as in it's not that we're in the process of evaluation, we're just at 20% maybe.
The third question is, how did the 2-year MBA journey help you in setting up your startups?
Yeah, so coming to this question, there are two parts, as in what you learn in the classes and what you learn from your peers. This is what actually happens in every B school, where I was really fortunate to meet really great minds, especially in that 2-year window, be it my seniors, my batchmates, or even my juniors. And I always tend to keep a connection with the college or the current batches, or even your senior batches as well, so that I get to know the new things that are happening around, and some kind of expertise, some kind of criticism maybe. If you look at my academics at IIM Rohtak, I was among those who were in the bottom 20%. So I know nothing beyond marketing. Purely, I'm a marketing guy, and a little bit of IT. I know that's purely out of my interest. And I knew nothing about P&L. I knew nothing about. I mean, I know the basics. That okay, this is enough for me to get my grades up, but not beyond that, because that was not something I was looking at. And then when I started things, there are multiple things. As in I have to look into the HR activities. I have to look into the the P&L, the compliances, the legal memos that we generate. Okay, and it was not something that is taught at the practical level. It's not with it can be with any B school. I mean, they tell you it's like these are the things, these are the compliances, or this is how you look at the P&L. But P&L is something which everybody knows. But at the compliances level, at the what are the legalities? How do you draft a legal tender? And all these things, they are so that is where I met these people again. My batchmates or my seniors or my juniors who are actually doing good in that field, and who felt that okay, this guy is doing something. Let's help him out, in some or the other way. So it need not be, see, when you're setting startups, so most of the people think that, okay, investment is the huge task, which is not. As in, many people will buy your idea, and of course, there will be people who will add money to it. But when you're starting, just when you're at the beginning of your startup, you need people who would invest in your idea and also invest their efforts. So that is where my IIM Rohtak Janta came in and really supported me, because being in a startup, you're not not just me. I mean, many entrepreneurs, they're not fortunate enough to hire the best of the talent and bring them in house, especially when you're bootstrapping and when you're not even funded to that level. So that is where, you know, your peers come in and they pick up few things, they set things up. So my days used to be something like I used to work on my product day in and day out. I mean, in the morning hours, in looking into the business development part and also the integrations and everything. And in the back end over the night, I used to call up some of my friends and I asked them, okay, dude, you're really good in the UX part. Help me in creating the mockups and help me in doing these ABC things. So that would be a night out where we sit together and then we chat, we talk, and we finish the task.
Great answer. And my next question is, what are your thoughts on using social media as a marketing channel when compared to other marketing channels?
So if you look at social media as a marketing channel, social media is predominantly a place where you know, users come and post their activities or look into some content for entertainment. And whereas you look into the other marketing channels, say Google search ads or, you know, maybe some other channels, you have the user's intent. Now, let's say someone is searching for what is the best B school in India. And that is where if you put up an ad, because the user has an intent, the user knows what he wants, and you set up an ad there saying that, boss, IIM Rohtak is one good college that you should join, or some other B school, A, B, C, right? But when it comes to social media, you don't have the intent. The users don't have the intent to purchase or even the intent to, you know, take a look at it. I mean, if you're really good at giving a great ad that draws the attention, then yes, you got a user, or you got a lead, or you got a sale, or you got a brand follower. So but what is social media today and what is social media going to be? So now, if you look at how Facebook has evolved, or how recently Quora or Distort or the other social media platforms are evolving, they are the game changers. So gone were those days where, you know, Orkut used to be that social media where there would be no ads and it would be only a community based thing. And now Facebook has changed the game, and there are other new brands which are changing the game completely forever. As in, if you look at Distort is way more advanced than Facebook, I would say, in terms of advertising and how do they track it as well. So now there has come to a situation where these social media platforms know what their users are entirely. I mean, they dig into your DNA. They know your interests. They know your activities, where you're going, what you're doing, what kind of products you're buying, and all that. And now they would be able to, instead of what you're searching or what you're following, based on your activities on that social media platform, it has evolved to a situation, evolved to a place where it will give you that relevant ads, which would again make business for them and also the advertisers as well. And also, of course, the purchasers or the users of the platform get what they actually want. So compared to the traditional mediums, it is evolving. So if you ask me, I put my 40% of marketing spends on Google ads and only 25 to 30% on my Facebook ads or other social media ads. So that's how I work on things. So I would say social media has not evolved that much where it would surpass the Google search ads or the other things. But yeah, there soon will be those days where people would only be investing on this social media for their digital marketing campaigns.
My next question is, how can a small business mark their presence in the market where the biggies are burning millions of dollars in their marketing activities?
When you have huge players in the market, they're burning millions of dollars and bringing in a lot of activities into the space. So how any small business can only survive by creating a niche for itself, be whatever maybe the service that we service that we offer or the products that we cater. it's always about creating a niche when you're starting small. So create that niche and see whether you are going to scale it to the next level. How? By making your by having your loyal customer base and giving them great customer experience, and they be your spokesperson of your brand, and they talk about your brand. They make people work on things, and slowly you expand your expertise, or you expand your niche categories. You create another niche, or you enter into another market, and that market need not be an entirely different market. It can be something like a geographical market. Let's say you're targeting your Delhi NCR region, then you're doing good, then hit the Mumbai Pune belt, or maybe Bangalore. So expand your geographies, or expand your features, or expand your services that you are giving, and slowly you will be a company which would be funded, or which will be burning that again millions of dollars in the industry.
My next question is, you have worked in firms from various industries like edtech, cement, event management, online gaming. So how has your experience been, and how can a person prepare himself to be able to work in different industries?
So to start with, I work with multiple industries. I happen to work with apparels, e-commerce, cement, and so many other industries, education, edtech, and many other things. So, but the job that I was doing was same. I mean, I am a hardcore marketing guy, so I know how a campaign works. But yes, there are certain things which completely differs from an industry to industry. As in, probably an apparel works entirely different from a education, because of the ticket size, or because of the kind of users that are coming in there. So understanding these places, and when you're switching your industries, you have to make sure your basics are correct. As in, the basics, as in how do you set up a campaign, how do you run a particular marketing activity, be it into event management, or you run your marketing events, or you host some kind of a webinars, workshops. What you crack the code of what is necessary. So there are n million ways to convert a user, or bring a sale to the company. But at the end of the day, which is more cost effective? How do you reduce your customer acquisition cost? And at the end of the day, it's always money. So when you can acquire 1 million users with X amount of budget, then do it instead of spending the money on and different other things, or bring in only 500k users. And when one advice I would say for those who are trying to switch the industries, or even who are at the beginning of the career, always have a mentor for you. As in, I would say, I follow this. As in, I don't know if somebody else follows it or not. So I always have this 3M policy, as in have 3 mentors. So I have a mentor who could be my senior, my immediate senior, or my super senior, who is somewhat in my zone, or at my level of of the business. And then there will be some other person. I'll have another mentor in the industry who's kind of there's a huge 15-20 year gap, who has been really successful. And also there will be another mentor who is completely from a different industry. So your first mentor will give you what you have to do in your current job, and your second mentor will tell you the things, how things are operating at 10,000 feet above. And probably your third mentor will give you a complete overview of how the other industries are working, and how can you adapt things that are happening in those industries into yours, and how can you experiment on new things. So this is how most of these, this is how I work. Probably if you find it useful, so go ahead with it.
Yeah, it is really very useful. And my last question is, what is the advice you give to the current students who are aspiring to enter into the marketing field?
Okay. So like I said, get into the 3M policy of having 3 mentors and experiment new things. Experimenting new things as in, so people say that, okay, your learning ends after your placement or after you graduate. Okay, that's not how it works in the industry. It's totally different. So in be it any B school, they tell you the basics as in how to survive and what are these basic ABC things. And every company's DNA is totally different. Nobody knows what's in store, and even the times are really uncertain, and you should be totally ready for it. So no one knew that a pandemic was going to hit the country when it started in China, and now we're completely in a situation where you guys are at homes, and while you're I mean, most of the B schools, they say that, okay, peer learning is the best learning and you guys are at home. So be ready for it, be ready for the uncertainties, and also make sure you earn things on your own. I mean, I have seen people when they started their careers, they don't see, they think that what they have learned is so much and what they're doing is very minimal job. As in, so I have friends who complain that, okay, I'm just preparing Excel sheets and presentations in the corporate life and nothing more than that. I'm not being a decision maker, or he does not have an authority to make decisions. So my 2 cents would be, when you are entering into a new company, nobody will give you all the responsibilities into your hand unless you have earned that, earned that space. So you should earn things. So yeah, initially you'll be working on Excels, you'll be preparing presentations, you'll be meeting people for the business development activities, you'll be doing and many other things which may not matter a lot, but that will make you a new person, as in that is where you start learning things. So when you are preparing the Excel sheets and when you are preparing the PPTs, what are your seniors doing? You learn from that and get the takeaways, and you work on engineering yourself and you take things to the next level. And I always suggest someone to have a multiple, not a career option as such, but expand your forte. So now let's say you're a digital marketing guy. So get into the next part of it, as in, say you're in the acquisition, whereas you work on acquiring the users. So then you start learning about retaining the users. So what are the different tools that are there in the market and all that. And probably now let's say you're into sales. So look into the other side of it, as in what is going to happen beyond sales. So how this customer delight works, how this customer success manager works, what are the different other things that are there in the market and all that. And one other thing I would say, so if someone is really looking into a career in marketing, a small heads up, there are million other digital marketing guys in the world, and you just are going to start your career. So you have to compete with all these people. So how are you going to compete with them? So like I said, gone were those days where you set up a campaign and bring in the numbers and say that, okay, this is marketing. So those days were gone. Now we're in the generation where how do you track where your spends are going, and what is your return on investment on a particular campaign, or what is your return of investment on a particular activity. So, and how do you quantify it, and quantify the efforts that you're putting in, or the type of channels that you're using. And I would say you better get accustomed to the technologies that are there around. Like, for acquisition, we have AppsFlyer, Branch, Singular, and CleverTap for retention activities. So you should have this one-hand experience of all these things. And that is where I would say you would be standing out as a digital marketing guy or a marketing person in the industry. And also I would say don't wait for the opportunities, or I mean, don't wait till you get into you finish your two-year course, and then don't wait till the time you join some company. So now let's say you're into digital marketing, get onto freelance.com and be a freelancer, find some projects, do it for free. I mean, you don't have to get paid. This is just for the sake of an experience. I mean, come on, you have a tight schedule, but that doesn't mean that you cannot work on other things. We always have time to party, right? So go to the market, see something, see if you find a particular, it can be as minimal as you find a particular kirana store, and which is catering to the 10-kilometer radius or 5-kilometer radius, and build them a digital marketing campaign for them, and do it for free. Just ask them to bear the expenses of the ads and see how it works. So I would suggest you to experience everything, as in before getting into the industry or before leaving the college. Or now let's say you're a finance person and you wanted to know dig deeper into how the real-time P&L works, or a real-time the compliances or the other things work. So you meet those people who are doing really small business. You start with that, you experience it, and then you look into case studies. Are fine. Case studies are good. They give you a really great experience of how the bigger, greater things work. But when it gets into the reality, when you get to know how small companies work, that is where your initial learnings will be, and that is how you scale things up.
Ujjwal, so my first question would be, what advice would you give to your younger self?
So I would say study well, participate more. So I was kind of a guy who attended the classes and did the basics of the work. Could be your group projects or anything. And I was a biker back then. So I used to travel to places, and being in Rohtak is one zone which is equidistant to all the great places. You can go to Manali, you can go to Amritsar, you can go and visit Kashmir, Jaipur, everything. And believe me, I never wasted any weekend. So what suggestion that I would give is, do enough traveling. Focus on the things that I told you. So getting onto some live projects, or do some projects, do some freelancing and all that. I didn't have anyone to tell me that back then. So rather I would go and say, I would be that M1 mentor and tell my younger self that.
Very nice advice. So my next question would be, what do you miss about Kathor life?
It's always that classroom experience or the hostel experience, where we all sit together, we brainstorm, we talk about things. And one good thing about Rohtak is we have that diversity. If we get people from entirely different background. I mean, I have a friend who is a dentist. I have a friend who is a political sciences person. I have a friend who is in a PSU background. So it's all different mindsets and different perspectives. So every time you start thinking about a particular activity or a particular, the things that are happening around, or be it related to technology or marketing or anything. So you always keep your vision straight, and it would be a narrowed perspective. And when we interact with the other Kators, so the spectrum or the bandwidth expands, in a way that you get to know how differently someone can think about it. And of course, all the wacky other things that we do at college. Yeah.
So my next question would be, best things you learned being a Kathor.
Best things would be more towards, how do I put it? I would say what I am today is because what I experienced being a Kathor. Our classroom. So that, right? Classrooms, and then assignments, the group projects, and you always know that deadlines are sacrosanct, right? So that is one thing I really learned being on time and finishing things on time. I never delayed any project. I never delayed any output till date. Of course, I did that in college, but not in professional life.
So my next question is how to deal with stress.
I don't want to be a spiritual guru, but I would say, I'll tell you what I follow. I take my bike out, I go out for a ride, put my earphones on, sing out loud all the lyrics, no matter what the other people think. And yeah, that's my therapy.
My next question is how do you prioritize things?
Okay. So how do I prioritize things? There are two different ways how I do. One at the real time and one at the start of the day. So, or start of the day or start of the week. So I always make sure what are these ABC things that I have to do and where are they? So I think you guys are aware of this app called Trello. Trello is a organizer. You know, it's more on Kanban based. So I organize things. I know that, okay, these are the deliverables that I should meet at the end of the week and what I'm doing today. And I compare it with things that have to be done. And also make sure that because I'm in this industry of real money gaming and also in the marketing field, there are things that pops up out of nowhere. So it goes something like everything, we have set up everything, we are running the campaigns, everything is going good, and all of a sudden your Facebook ad account gets blacklisted. Nobody knows why, and there comes a whole chaos. So always I always have a plan B ready. Now let's say there's something that happens here. These are the ABC things that I'm going to do. So that's how I prioritize things. So one, not just me, anybody, you should be clear on what are the things that ABC things that you have to do or that have to be delivered, and how effectively are you going to do it, and tracking it is the most important part.
So my next question is, we got to know that you attended an autonomous robotics workshop. So was it something you were passionate about?
Everyone follows a particular fad, right? You know, somebody picks a guitar, thinks that because that's cool. So I picked up robotics because I thought that was cool. And me coming from a electronics and communications background, I really felt that would be one space which would be really, really cool. And that would make me someone whom you would set up at. And yeah, that's how it started. But after going deeper into it, and I found some love for it, and I got into RC motors and RC robotics and all that. Yeah, I started with a simple, a line following bot, as in you keep a maze like this, and the bot will follow. And then from there, I started building things, and went to a stage where I can build a RC, not a drone, but yeah, a kind of a failed drone maybe.
Small rapid fire. So it's like,
Okay.
I'll give you a word, whatever comes to your mind, you can tell. Like, for example, if I say blue, you may say water, like that. So it should
Okay.
be quick.
Okay.
So the first word is khator.
Khator, I am Rohtak.
Hangout place in Maratak.
There are many diners, McD, there is this Fauji Dhaba. There are many other places. Murthal is our go-to place.
And then library.
Library, I've never been, I'm sorry. That's an unexplored zone.
Hostel.
Hostel is live.
Maggie.
Maggie again, hostel.
Okay. Then deadlines.
Sacrosanct.
Classroom.
Classroom is fun.
Free riders.
Case studies. Free riders, welcome to the club. It is really necessary.
Coffee breaks.
Coffee breaks. Chill, time pass.
Infusion.
Infusion is life. I
Last but not the least, roommate.
roommate. Yeah, roommates are special.
Thank you, sir, for taking time from your busy schedule and being with us today. It was great pleasure learning and listening from your experience. We are grateful for having you as the guest of the day. Thank you so much, sir. For more such engaging episodes of Kathorwani, stay tuned. We'll be back soon.